Welcome to another edition of our special artist interview series, Center Stage. I'm Mark Cunaberti, and I'm pleased to introduce to our listeners here at KVMR-FM and on the World Wide Web, Mr. Graham Nash. Hey, Graham.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Just fine, thanks.
So I know we were scheduled to come visit and really couldn't get that together, so where are you calling me from?
I'm calling you from my home in Los Angeles.
Now, you live out there with your family and kids?
I do.
Okay. How many kids you got? 3?
Yes.
All grown up now, eh?
I don't know about that. I'm not even sure I'm grown up.
Like all of us. Now, you're originally from the UK. I guess through all these years, you ended up finally out here in the West Coast. Kind of a long, strange trip, eh?
Yeah, it has been. You know, I was brought up in a town called Salford, which is just outside of Manchester in the north of England. After World War II, grew up on the street with the rest of the kids kicking balls around and going and bombed down houses and stuff. And then the skiffle came along, and then early American rock and roll, and our lives changed dramatically. We formed the Hollies and had huge success in England, and then I came here in 1968 to join David and Stephen.
Now, do you still have family back there?
I do. I have 2 sisters.
2 sisters. Do you get a chance to go back there from time to time?
Yes, I do occasionally.
Now, listeners can find Graham on his website, grahamnash.com. You getting a lot of hits on that?
Oh, yes, indeed. A lot of people are checking out, finding out what's going on.
Now, most everyone obviously knows you from the Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but I was looking on your album synopsis. You've got almost as many solo albums out with the group, and as I think there are 5 of those, and another 8 with David.
Yep.
Your most recent release is Songs for Survivors. How long has that been out?
That's on DVD-A, which is a 5.1 surround sound disc with lots of room on there for at least 66 of my own images. And the CD that's out on, that's out on DTS Entertainment. And the normal CD, which is out on Artemis Records, came out about a month ago.
Now, that was made after 9/11, was it
before.
not? Oh, the Song for Survivors was made before 9/11?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Does that differ much from your other solo releases?
No, but what 9/11 did was bring it more into focus, I think, Mark. You know, it is a song about love and about self-worth and about loss of friends and about experiences that I've been through. And 911 kind of brought it all into focus that I am, concentrating more on my wife and my family and my friends.
Sure. Yeah, 9/11 was really something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Absolute madness. Now, all through the time that you've been with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, you've been putting out solo albums and a handful or so, like I mentioned with David. Is there anything in particular that drives you to put out the solo albums that maybe wasn't being fulfilled in the group?
Yeah, I think it's just general writing ability. You know, when you're in a band with 3 or 4 strong writers, you only get a couple, maybe 3 songs per album if you're lucky. But of course, we all write faster than that. And what do you do when you've got 16, 18 songs all nibbling at the inside of your brain waiting to get out because they're finished?
You're currently touring solo right now?
Yeah. And towards the end of the tour, around the beginning of October, we'll be in your area.
And where in this area?
Let me see. We're going to be at Henderson, which is just outside Nevada, I think.
Sure.
And Harris, in Lake Tahoe.
Sure.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah, going to be trouble getting a good steak in Henderson, I think.
I don't think so somehow.
Now, how many dates a month are you doing?
There are 16 dates total, so it ends on October 6th. So, your guys' dates are towards the end of the tour.
Now, you're taking breaks in between the dates to go back and see your family? You'd fly back to L.A.?
I'm not going to this time. I'm going to take the 3 weeks and concentrate on doing that. My wife will be out occasionally, but my sons and my daughter, I've got school and college and projects to do.
Are they, either of them, in music, or the 2 sons or their daughter?
They all have deep appreciation for music, and they all fool around, but not in any very serious way.
Has there ever been any talks in the last about dissolving Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or are you guys just too good a friend?
Why would we do that?
Well, that's what I mean. You just sound too good together.
Well, it's also the writing, I mean, you can be as upset as anybody, but when Stephen Stills plays your song that breaks your heart in 2, I mean, you just want to work with that guy, And
I can imagine.
That just keeps happening, unfortunately.
I've always wondered, Neil Young comes in and out. I noticed there are albums with him and without him throughout the 70s,
Sure.
80s, and 90s. What brings him in and out like that?
Music.
Music.
When he wants to hear, what it is that CSN can do and to his music, he wants that. And when he does that, he calls. Very easy formula. It's much easier than people think.
Yeah, when you guys write material, the three of you, how does that process get done? Do you just go together and decide you're going to write, or do you all come together in with songs?
We have rarely written together. We have in the past. I've written with David and Stephen, but normally we write for ourselves, and then the songs make it obvious where they should go.
Now you have a couple of albums out, like I mentioned before, with David. Where's everybody else when you're making these albums with David? Do you find him just a little bit more musically compatible?
I do have a strong musical relationship and a strong link with David, and I have from the very beginning of our relationship. And I see no reason to quit. In fact, David and I are speaking about next year recording another Crosby Nash record.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great. Now, you've got quite an array of interests, I understand, outside of music. One is photography. Tell me a little bit about that.
I've been making images longer than I've been making music. My father turned me onto a camera when I was just about 10 years old, and showed me the magic of photography and showed me the magic of images floating onto paper seemingly out of nowhere. That magic has never left me, and I've been taking photographs ever since. And I have a book coming out in the spring called From Eye to Eye, which is a book of about 145 of my pictures, culled down from many, many, many thousands of shots. But before that, we have a book coming out that's going to come out for Christmas called For the Record. I have a company called Manuscripts Originals that gets well-known artists to write out the lyrics to their songs and make them available for sale and for charitable donations and to honor songwriting in general. We donate to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and to the Rhythm and Blues Foundation and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and we have a book coming out of 25 of the songs that we represent, and that'll be out for Christmas.
Now, you're also quite proficient in the digital techno world. Can you tell me a little bit about the exploration into the multimedia that's mentioned on your website?
Yeah, I've done several. About 8 years ago, I did a most amazing series of 6 shows in Philadelphia at the Annenberg Theater there on the University of Pennsylvania, with a large screen and huge computers and fiber optic networks and virtual people talking to me on stage, and a general story of my life that combined songs and talking and my life experience, and that was quite something. That was called Life Size. My friend Rand Weatherwax helped me direct that. He directed it, and that was quite something. And I also have Nash Editions, which is a digital fine art press, which is a wonderful, wonderful reputation in this business because we happen to do extremely good work.
Boy, the busier you are, the busier you get, eh?
Well, it's just,
Change in the music industry over the last 30 years or so.
Oh, of course. Enormous change on many fronts, from a technical point of view and from a musical point of view. But it is quite amusing to see, the chain of events as it all unfolds. It's going to be interesting to see where it all goes in 50 years.
Yeah, Carlos Santana had mentioned that he had trouble getting a label before he put out his Supernatural album. Of course,
it's true, but that's the name of the game and the name of the business. They're always looking for the new upcoming multi-million sellers, and they depend on money, and that's okay. But within it all, there's music there for everybody to find.
Yeah. Did you find any resistance over the years as the group gets revolving around the age of the group for the music? Do you find resistance from that we're not 20 years old anymore?
Well, we didn't find resistance at Atlantic. We found lack of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And that is even worse. You can't count out a group, especially like Crosby, Stills and Nash. You have no idea where the next hit's coming from, where the next great song's coming from.
Sure.
And we just felt that they didn't particularly care about the band, and so we negotiated a settlement with Atlantic and moved on.
If you think back a bit, how did music all begin for you? Was you a pretty musical family?
No, not at all. I was the only one in my family that went into music, and it was just after World War II, kicking the ball around the street, hanging around with my friends, and then skiffle came on, which was a kind of a jug band, folky kind of early pre-rock and roll. And then early American rock and roll, and we all got electric guitars and learned how to sing, and Just like the Byrds record said, so you want to be a rock and roll star, this is what you do.
And blast off, eh?
Yeah.
When you told your parents that you wanted to go into music for a living, or did you tell them that? What did they?
Well, I didn't have to tell them. They knew what was
They
going
knew
on.
that.
Oh, yeah. And they were very encouraging, thank goodness.
Yeah, quite briefly, how did the Hollies ever come to be?
Out of me and Alan Clark, who later formed the Hollies, were a little duo on our own, and we went into skiffle and early rock and roll, and then somebody said we needed a drummer and a bass player and a lead guitar player, and we said, okay, let's listen, and it was pretty good, and after a while we became the Hollies, and everything's changed from then.
Yeah, when the Hollies came to a conclusion, was it because you and Stephen and David got together and just sounded great, and you decided to move on?
It happened at the same time that our time together as friends had come to an end, and they weren't particularly interested in recording some of my new songs, which David and Stephen were, and so it all came up at the same time, and then I'd heard me and David and Stephen sing, and that was it for me. That's what I wanted to do for the next few years.
Before you go, we've got some of our easy KVMR questions for you. These are becoming a tradition on this show. What's your favorite food?
Interesting.
These are the toughest ones, believe it or not.
Turkey dinner with mashed potatoes and gravy, probably.
Turkey dinner. What's your favorite thing to do when not playing music? Your favorite hobby?
Photography.
Photography. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, or none of the above?
Golf.
Golf, man.
Yes.
What's your handicap?
Crosby.
Okay. Kind of car you drive?
It changes. I have a couple of homes. I live in Hawaii most of the time, and there we have all Volkswagens.
You're
Toyotas.
out. Jesse Colin Young's out there growing coffee.
Yes, he is, and he grows great coffee.
I haven't tried it yet. You don't ever get together with him and make a little music, do you?
We do when we played a show there at CSN about 4 years ago, and he came to the show. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, we just interviewed him a couple of months ago.
He's a nice man.
First class business or coach when flying airplanes?
You got to try and make it as easy as possible, and I'm just lucky enough to be able to afford to go first class.
Ah, great man. And finally, the most important question here on KVMR, are you a dog or a cat person?
Neither. I never grew up with either. I mean, we do have both, in both our homes, but, I would have, dogs probably, yes.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. What are the chances we can get you up here to Nevada City to blow the doors off our local venue?
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
We got to make
this tour is going to be just like a touchstone, and if it continues to be good, I'll do more.
Make you an offer you can't refuse, eh?
All right, Mark.
All right, Graham, it's been a pleasure. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck to you and your family. We'll stay in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Graham Nash.
Thank you, Mark.